Hi, Orxan. Really well done for submitting this writing and for your dedication to improving your IELTS score, which is great. Your first task was to reply to a letter that you've received from your University of Albion demanding a reason for your absence from an exam. Okay. So you were to explain that you were ill that day and that you failed to submit evidence, and that you were going to write to explain your situation. Okay, so the 4 things that you had to include in this were apologies for your situation, identification of yourself, an explanation of what had happened and any possible evidence you may have, and possible resolutions to consider. Okay, so 4 areas to include in there. Let's have a look at what you've written. So, dear Sarah Madam, I'm Orxan, student number 45754. I would like to inform you that I did not attend machine learning exam due to my health conditions. Okay, so dear Sarah Madam is good. We would follow this with a comma. So dear Sir / Madam, comma. I am Orxan, good, student number 45754. What you also need in here is your case number. Okay, so this is just the case number from the letter you received before, so just making up a number like your student number for the case number. And I would like to inform you that I did not attend machine learning exam due to my health conditions. Okay. I would change the order of this sentence and say due to illness or due to my health, comma, I was not able to attend the exam, machine learning, for example. Okay, I'm not sure what this one is, but I'd imagine you've taken it from the name of an exam, so okay. But using I did not attend the exam or the machine learning exam. Okay. I wake up in the morning with a high temperature, so in there, a high temperature and shivering. As I am living alone, there was nobody to help me to inform you prior to the exam. I barely took my phone and called emergency. Okay, so this word is barely is not quite the right word here. I think we would say instead I only used my phone to call for an ambulance, for example. Okay, they arrived and took me to the hospital where I was examined and advised to stay for a day. Therefore, I was not able to inform you in advance. Okay. Be careful here with this part of the sentence because you've got 2 different tenses. You've got I have been examined, which would suggest that you were still at the hospital, and I was advised to stay for a day, which is a past simple, which suggests that you're home now. So stick to one or the other. Either you're still in the hospital or you're home. If you're still in the hospital, use present perfect. If you're home, use the past simple. Okay, so is that one. Please accept my sincere apologies. Good. I understand that it is not acceptable to be absent on an exam without any notification. Absent from an exam without any explanation, I would say there. As proof of my words, so here we could say as evidence, I can request detailed information from the hospital about my stay there and the time of my call. I would keep this a little bit simpler instead of having everything on here. So you could say, as evidence, I can request documents from the hospital about my stay, and that would be fine for that instead of having the list there as well. I hope my evidence will be enough and you will let me take that exam. What I would say here is I hope this evidence will be sufficient instead of enough, sufficient, 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 and that you will let me retake, RETAKE, retake the exam I can talk to the teacher and arrange a day with your confirmation. Yours faithfully. Okay, good. Yeah, so just a few changes in there. Just to recap some of those points. So making sure that you're using the right articles. So for example, the exam, and a high temperature. Okay, and also being careful of your tenses so as not to confuse them. So I have been examined and then the past simple. So we don't really want to combine those two. So instead saying where I was examined and advised. Okay, but otherwise a very good piece of writing, good work. Let's go on to your next piece then. So this is your next one, and the question was, in some countries an increasing number of people are suffering from health problems as a result of eating too much fast food. Is it therefore necessary for governments to impose a higher tax on this kind of food? To what extent do you agree or disagree with this opinion? Okay. Hardly is it a secret that nowadays an immense amount of people is having health issues which are caused by consuming junk food enormously. Some people believe that governments ought to increase taxes on fast food to ameliorate the situation, and I totally agree with this opinion. Okay, so instead of hardly is it a secret, I would use it is a well-known fact that nowadays an immense amount of people are having health issues which are caused by consuming too much junk food. Okay, some people believe that governments ought to increase taxes on fast food to improve the situation, and I totally agree with this opinion. Okay then. Okay, so what I would say this introduction is missing is just a little bit at the end to say what your essay is going to do. This is not always important in essays for every type of essay. So if you're writing an essay for university, for example, they might not say this. However, because it is so short and because you have a very specific question, I would suggest just outlining to the examiner what you're going to do in your essay, because this shows them that you've understood the question. Okay. So it has been proved that fast food leads to several diseases like obesity, diabetes, and even heart attacks. Okay, heart attacks. This is largely because this type of food contains a huge amount of sugar, salt, and fat, which are considered to be detrimental for human health if consumed, I would say consumed in high quantities. Okay, or consumed in excess, EXCESS. For example, recent empirical research by the US government demonstrated that just one glass of a fizzy drink has 2 times more sugar than it is suggested to consume daily. Okay, so this last bit of the sentence is a little bit clumsy, so we'd say a fizzy drink has 2 times the recommended daily amount of sugar. Okay. Therefore, it is extremely important to lessen the consumption of unhealthy food. Okay. Okay. We'll come back to that paragraph in a moment. The government has an essential role in regulation of issues, and the fast food problem is serious enough for the government to take appropriate measures and control over it. Changing legislation and increasing taxes on junk food seems an effective method. The central reason behind this is when people know that something is expensive and less important, they tend to decrease the amount they spend on it. Okay, so the amount they spend on it in here. The Azerbaijani government, for instance, rose taxes on fast food by 25% last year and, as a consequence, people spent 35% less on this type of food, Due to the strong correlation between the price of fast food and its consumption, governments should consider tax increases. Okay then, so this is as I thought. The second paragraph here talks about tax, which is good because that is our key question. However, the paragraph before does not. Okay. But this is the essence of your question. So is it necessary for governments to impose a higher tax on this kind of food? So it could be here that you use all of these good bits about the amount of sugar and salt and so on, and then you explain why this is a reason for having higher taxes. Okay. Otherwise, this paragraph becomes a bit of a lead-in to your answer to the question, and this paragraph down here answers the question, whereas we want all of your essay to answer the question and show why you think taxes are important on this kind of food. Okay. This one about fizzy drinks is particularly good. Okay. And to use an example on that, you could talk about the sugar tax in the UK, which is a new thing, and it is that the foods that have a higher amount of sugar are now taxed. Okay, so especially fizzy drinks and things. So that could be a way that you show how tax is important for these types of foods as well, just like you've done with the Azerbaijani government down here. You would do the same with an example up here as well. Okay. In conclusion, I firmly believe that as a negative issue affecting human health, so here we need some commas, so I firmly believe that, comma, as a negative issue affecting human health, comma, fast food should be controlled by governments by raising taxes on it. It is predicted that after a rise, there will be substantial changes in junk food consumption. Okay, good. So a nice end to the essay there is good. A good prediction for the future, a good summary of what you think about tax. But as we said before, make sure that all of your paragraphs are addressing that question so that we don't have a descriptive paragraph, but we have two paragraphs that reply to the question. Okay, but two very good pieces of writing. Key aspects to take from this are to check for your articles, so whether to use a or the or nothing. Okay, and also a couple of examples of word order. So for example, hardly is it a secret, when in fact we would say it's a well-known fact that. So phrases like that. But yes, very encouraging. Well done. Good pieces of writing.